Yo, what's up, guys? Continuing the Hellraiser franchise review with Hellbound Hellraiser Part 2, and I am reviewing it from the Scarlet box set from Arrow Video. And I gotta say, Hellraiser 2, one of my favorite in the franchise right off the bat. I had stated in my first Hellraiser review that I didn't want to get too much into the story just because I had an epiphany with my reviews. I hate trailers. I hate when people give stuff away. There's a lot of reviews that I won't watch strictly because they give too much away in the plot. So I kind of realized that I don't want to give away anything in the plot for the review. I just want to give you my thoughts on the overall movie. And if there's parts I dislike, I'll get into stuff I dislike with it. Part 2 is one of the best in the series. It does exactly what a sequel should do, and that's take the idea of the first one and expand it, and this one definitely does expand it. I mean, it creates some new mythology with the Cenobites and the characters and all that, and so that's whatever. I mean, at this point, there wasn't a grounded mythology. I mean, this was the first sequel, Part 2, and it was taken over by Tony Randall directing duties, and this was his directorial debut. And it's in the commentary I listened to with Tony Randall and Peter Atkins, the writer. Tony Randall had said he was learning how to direct while doing this movie, so the second unit directors and all that were kind of teaching him tricks and all this and that on how to do it. So this was kind of like an amateurish director kind of thing, but it still made it. To me, it's better than the first one, and it's better than 60% of the rest of the franchise. I mean, the makeup effects look better on Pinhead. I think the makeup effects look worse on the Chatter because he just looks different and he looks goofier than he looked on the first one. And Butterball looks the same. The same dude did it. You know, the same dude played Pinhead, and I think the same dude played Chatter, but they replaced the female Cenobite, and I gotta say the female Cenobite in Part 1 I thought looked better, but Barbie Wilde, who does the female Cenobite in this one, did a good job. They added a lot more. There's a lot of different little subplots going on. There's the new Dr. Chenard, who becomes the main baddie. He's not, you know, when you see at the ending, Pinhead isn't really like the main bad guy in this. It's this doctor, and the makeup effects they used for him I thought were really well done. I'm not really giving anything away by saying this, but they do go to their version of hell, and there you see the Leviathan and all that, and it looks pretty badass. I mean, I watched it with the commentary too, because there are two commentaries on this disc. One with Peter Atkins and Tony Randall, then a second one with Tony Randall, Peter Atkins, and Ashley Lawrence. And yeah, Ashley Lawrence looked hot again in this. I mean, Julia looked better in this than she did in the first one. The makeup effects for Julia are really stand out. They look amazing. There's a scene in there with this dude cutting his chest and everything with a razor, and that's when Julia is first introduced in this one. And it's one of the most memorable scenes in just horror history. It's so well done. The effects are beautiful. Everything about how it was shot is awesome. And it's just this one's highly rewatchable. I would pick this one over Hellraiser 1 any day. I mean, I love this movie with a passion. Score's amazing. Just everything about it's cool. You know, it does have some sloppy-ish moments. You could tell there's some, you know, like I said, it's an amateur director at this point. And, you know, that just is what it is. You could tell he has a love for Hellraiser, because there's a lot of stuff that is just really cool, and a lot of stuff that there's just expanded upon with the first Hellraiser movie. And that may have to do with Peter Atkins writing this, because he grew up with Clive Barker and Doug Bradley, so he probably knows the material better than anyone could besides Clive Barker. And I think Clive Barker was cool with this film. There's some behind the set scene photos of him on set, you know. So I think he was close with the making of it, and I think he how could he not, you know, respect this movie with just everything it expanded upon, you know. It does show its age though. And I gotta say, this transfer to me looked a little better than Hellraiser Part 1 did. I mean, a lot of stuff stuck out. The stuff that, like colors like blood and all that, really do stand out. There's high grain. I mean, I just think that has to do with the film stock and everything being really low budget. I listened to the first commentary with Tony Randall and Peter Atkins, and it's actually a commentary from the Laserdisc because they mentioned recording for the Laserdisc quite a lot. And it's not that active of a commentary. There's a lot of silent parts, and the way it's all mastered, sometimes they'll be talking, and you could hear the movie louder than them talking, so it's kind of frustrating in that sense. I didn't listen to the commentary with Ashley Lawrence and Peter Randall just because Tony Randall and Peter Atkins, they were kind of just boring in the commentary, and which will lead me to the special features. I mean, I give the transfer, better grade than the first one, like I said, but still nothing crazily amazing. You know what I mean? It's not gonna like blow your mind or nothing, but as far as I know, I don't think transfers for Hellraiser ever did blow people's minds. Like, I know the Part 2 Blu-ray image put out, I think got really bad reviews. So I wrote down the special features that stuck out to me on this disc right here. And it has the 2-hour documentary of Leviathan dealing with Part 2. And love it. Like I said, the Leviathan documentary makes this release worth it. I think it was $70 or something, $60 when this came out, so that documentary alone makes it worth it with the whole packaging of this. And that's new to this release, besides if you didn't get the documentary. And there's an old interview with Doug Bradley that was on the special edition DVD put out by Anchor Bay, and that's only 11 minutes. And then brand new to the set, which a lot of people were stoked for, is the long lost surgeon scene that was teased on the back cover of the original VHS box. And it was long thought lost and all that. And they have it here. There's a lot of splices in it of missing where it'll says scene missing because those were supposed to be special effects shots that they never shot. And it's cool just to have it. I mean, it looks really low quality because it was never mastered and put into the film. But it's cool seeing the female Cenobite and Pinhead dressed in like scrubs or like hospital garb with face masks and all that. So that's pretty cool. And then you see the Chatter more dog-like he's like running like a dog and all that. And that's only 4 minutes, so it's cool to have that just to complete the whole package, And then it has the new interview with Sean Chapman called Being Frank, and it's basically the same thing as Part 1, but it's shorter, it's 12 minutes, and he's strictly talking about his involvement with Part 2. And if you've seen Part 2, you know his involvement with Part 2 was really short, because there was a whole thing. And I want to get back to the Leviathan thing. Really thorough documentary, everything you could possibly want to know. You know what I mean? It tells the whole backstory of how Andrew Robinson was supposed to return, and Andrew Robinson straight up said he read the script, thought it was garbage, and decided not to return, which doesn't make any sense to me. I think because they go into what he was supposed to do, and he was kind of like a puppet for Frank. He was like conjoined and all that, and I can see why he wouldn't want to do it for his personal ego and all that, but for fans of the Hellraiser movies, he should have came back. I mean, he just should have, just because it would have been cool to see him in it, but the fact that he felt it was below him kind of pissed me off about the whole thing, But it's cool Sean Chapman came back. He seems really cool. And there's a Lost in the Labyrinth, which is a 17-minute kind of compilation of different featurettes and stuff that were on the old DVDs. And then there's the 2 commentaries. So, when you get down to it, you got basically 4 hours of features on the first disc alone. And then you get to Part 2, and there's another 4 hours as bonus features. The set already paid for itself pretty much at that point, But I give Hellraiser 2 an 8 out of 10 as far as movie goes, just because I love it. And Hellraiser 1 I give like a 6.5, 7, just because it's not as enjoyable to me, but it is the birth of the franchise. Now, I'll be coming at you tomorrow with Part 3 and the list of those special features and the transfer. I heard the transfer is better, we'll see. It'll actually be my first time watching Part 3 in HD. I only ever had Part 3 on that Mill Creek DVD 6-film set, so I've only seen it in the most garbage transfer. So I'm really excited for that, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on that movie too, because people will probably be surprised on what I think about that movie. And since Part 3 will be the last one in this Scarlet set, I will get into the rest of what's in this set, because there's a lot in this that there's a lot of extra stuff in this thing, in this box, that is really badass, that makes it even more worth it, you know. So yeah, stay tuned for Part 3. Peace.